How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we've got another of our Deck of the Week deck profile, where we go over a deck that I feel is a great one to share for this given week. And for this one, I am going over REY Yellow, which is a deck I've played this week in the locals. If you've seen the not my locals, if you've seen the gameplay from this previous week. I did record my games to show off kind of how it did, and for all this I took to the locals. It was literally just a guy, Alex's list, who was the person who made top 8 at Manchester with REY Yellow, and I was intrigued by it. I was really intrigued because I never considered REY Yellow, even though I was kind of looking into building a version of Churro with Yellow because I love that leader, and it didn't occur to me about trying out REY Yellow. The only thing I was interested in trying with REY was potentially just mono blue and also red, but seeing how it did pretty well, and then seeing the list and seeing like how it kind of works was really interesting, and I thought I'd give it a try. So I tried it out in the locals, and it was really fun. It was a really fun deck, but I felt that there were some changes I would do to the list, so I thought I'd go over my deck. Basically just a few changes I make to the list and go over. If you do want to check out Alex's list, they can look in the description below. There should be a link to it, so you can kind of check out Alex's list from the top 8. And this one's just going to go over my kind of changes, like how I put together after a bit of testing with his list. So first of all, shout out to Alex for doing so well, putting kind of this in view as like a good option, which I really enjoy. So we'll start off as we normally do. We've got the leader we'll start off with. So it's always nice to kind of, before we see a list, to kind of understand about it. And also don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It keeps you updated with my video as and when they drop. And by clicking the notification bell, you can get alerts to my videos as and when they drop, or later time when it suits you best. But like we said, or like I was about to say, before I did my little thing that I kind of forgot, it's always best to kind of see what the leader does and the deck, because most decks are built around the leader. And because it's kind of like a leader base, because the leader and base give you the aspects that you don't have to pay the aspect penalty, even though you can still play, and people do often play cards that do incur the penalty because they're that great that you can play them, not worrying about the cost too much. And for REY, she's quite a nice one. So she's one of those blue-white leaders, so like on the good side, but in blue Vigilance being the kind of aspect that gives you a lot of healing, removal in events, and also defense as well, because you get like a lot of things like Sentinel and stuff like that. So it's kind of like one of my favorite aspects. It's my favorite aspect combination. My favorite aspects are mainly Cunning, and also I do really like Vigilance. And because I like Vigilance because of Churro, basically, really, and also I love Cunning because it's just the aspect that kind of speaks to me as my kind of play style, like how I like to play. And for REY, she's a pretty good one. She doesn't deploy until turn 6, or 6 resources, which is not too late, but then not too early either. And she does come down as a 2/6, so not the best stats, not the strongest attack, not the best bulk, but still out the range of things like takedown. But then she does have a nice effect because she's basically got the ability to give anything that's got 2 or less power and experience, and that's on the lead, both on the leader side and when she's deployed. And just on the leader side, you have to tap 1 resource and herself to do it. So you do have to be a resource behind, but that's not too bad because there's some of the cards we play in the deck. And when she is deployed, she can then do that every time she attacks. And not only that, but she also does have Restore Free, so she's then healing you free from your base every time she swings. So not only is she healing you free from your base, but when she swings, but she's also powering up your weaker things as well. And considering that she is 2 power herself, on the first time you swing with her, she's going to be boosting herself, making her up then to a 3/7, which is pretty nice. And yeah, that's basically it. Just basically get a nice bit of boosting, playing smaller stuff early, which is nice. It gives you a better early game by playing smaller things and then powering them up so they're actually more of a threat when it comes to the later game. And then when you get to the later game, after they have to deal with these small things that are being buffed, then you have to deal with your bigger threats. So very nice concept there. And then when she's deployed, she gives you a bit of healing, so you have to worry too much about taking damage early because she deploy and start healing. And the longer you keep her on, the more she's going to heal you. And for a base, there isn't the rare base currently for the first lot rare bases isn't really that great at the moment, so we don't really want to go for that. So you're just going for 30 health base. I chose Chopper base because I like the look of Chopper base. It kind of goes quite well with REY and basically the cards we get in the deck. So that's the combination, leader and REY, so we can have access to Vigilance being blue, Heroism being white, and Cunning being yellow, so you have access to those aspects without incurring the penalty, and that's what we've all got in here. So For the deck, we'll start off with the, as like we do, with the units, and then we'll go down from the lower cost units up until the higher cost units. Then we'll go into any upgrades and then events. So start off with like our turn one plays that we can play on the like behind on our aspects, and not just basically 2 costs for our 2 resources, but ones that can you play on turn one and then also boost with Rey's effect. So we've got 3 copies of Chopper, 3 copies of R2D2, and 2 copies of Cartel Turncoat. Now the nice thing about these is that they're all quite like small, but like small in terms of power, but they have a lot of health. So they've got a good amount of health. Like Chopper is a 1-3, so only 1 damage, but then 3 health, so being a decent amount. And then you got R2 is 1 health and 4 hate. Well, sorry, 1 power and 4 health. Meaning he's like a big bulky guy, but he does a little bit of damage. And you got Cartel Turncoat. Cartel Turncoat. That's the one. That is a space unit that's quite cheap, and it gives you decent amount of stats, like good stats for normally like even a 2 cost. That's just 2 power, 3 health. Only cost of 1 because you don't got that downside of having a bounty on it, which is draw 1. So that way, if your opponent, once it's defeated, your opponent will be able to draw a card. But luckily, drawing a card from a bounty isn't the kind of most devastating bounty for your opponent to claim. It's just draw an extra card. Sure, they get an extra card, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, there are like bounties that are a lot more like harsh if they are defeated that they have, and this is one of the like not like ones that is not too bad on the payoff. But we've only got 2 copies of Cartel Turncoat because we don't want to really just. We only wanted to. It's basically just there as an option if you don't get R2 or Chopper. Ideally, you want R2 or Chopper for your turn 1, and Cartel Turncoat is just in case you don't get those and you still want to play like with a more powerful unit. You can play out to Cartel just for a good, never good unit. You can boost with Rey and make use of her ability and just have something strong. And then in the space as well, because yeah, it's the only one in space. But then R2 and Chopper are more beneficial because they both have effects where they can trigger. So like Chopper, well, if you control, he's got an effect. Let's say if you control an Respector unit, but we don't spoil it. We don't play any other Respectors because I didn't find them useful from the original build. No offense, no offense to Alex's list, but I just didn't find that I was wanting to play them. Or if I did, I felt like I wanted something else. Like I either wanted smaller things that can boost that are useful, or I wanted bigger things in the later game to actually be more impactful. But Chopper's got a nice effect. When he attacks, you can discard the top card of your opponent's decks, kind of mill them a little bit. And if it's an event you mill, you get these also in their resources. So that's a nice bit of disruption there. If you can hit some of their events, maybe they might be playing a lot of events, so you can trigger a lot. Or there might be not many events, but if you hit them or even hit other cards, still you're milling out options they could draw. And then potentially hitting a resource, putting them a resource behind, that's quite nice. And then R2's got the effect of both when it's played or on attack, you get a look at top card of your deck, and you can decide if you want to keep it there or put it on the bottom. So you can kind of manage your one of your draws every turn, and even goes really well with other cards in the deck as well. So you play 3 copies of each of these, Chopper and R2, because these are the ones we want to have opening turn 1, so you can boost them, because then after 1 boost, Chopper goes from a 2-4, and then with a third boost on the turn after, he goes up to a 3-5. So like in standard with like a new standard for 3 costs, and you've got that down already, and you just basically boosting it without using up any cards in hand, and have that out as early as turn 1, because you actually have boost up to turn 2. And then R2 goes from a 1-4 to a 2-5, then to a 3-6, which 3-6 is very good for a 1 cost, very hard. And if you get more boost, like you can also get more experience after that. Like while Raiders have a limit of only boosting things that have 2 or less power, so you can only put a maximum of 2 experience on these 2. You can then put more experience on them, make them even bigger. And there's ways like with how this deck is built to kind of protect them after. So you got that investment early in the game, and you keep it. So if your opponent can't deal with them, or if you don't bother dealing with them, they can become really big impacts later on and really, really hard to deal with. So that's our 1 cost. That's our things we can play turn 1 and use the effect of Rey. Now we do have other things that you can also play turn 1 and not get the benefit of Rey, or play in the second turn and get the benefit of Rey as well. And those are, those are Resort Arc, C3PO, and L337. So these are the ones you can are 2 cost plays, and once again, these are ones you can play as early as turn 1, but you don't get the benefit of Rey, or you can play them on turn 2 and then get the benefit of Rey boosting them. So they're all ones again that you can boost with Rey, and I'm still using the same amount of Restored Arc as Alex. Like some of the ratios are still the same, because I feel like Restored Arc is nice, but then there's other things you want to kind of play. It's more like one of those cards where you want to play if you don't have the ever options, or if you don't get like you want to have options if you don't see the cards you ideally want. And we got C3PO because it pairs so well with R2, and is another one you can kind of boost, same kind of stats, 1-4. and it can go up to a 3/6, which is very, very powerful. And together with R2 and C3PO, you can gain extra cards that have more advantage as well, because R2 is going to keep using his effect, and you can use C3PO after, because C3PO's effect is when played on attack, you can choose a number, so any number, and then you look at the top card of your deck. If it's the cost of the chosen number, you get to reveal it to your hand and draw it. So essentially, use it in tandem with R2D2, where R2D2 will either be played or when attacked. Look at the top card of your deck and see what it is. So you keep it on top, see what it is, you see what the cost is, and put it back. And then C3PO, when he attacks or is played, will then call the number. Hopefully the number you saw off the cost of the card on top of your deck. So you can reveal it, see that it's the number you called, and add it to your hand. So you kind of gain cards for that. But R2, look what the cost is, and then C3PO, all right, I know what the cost is. This is it. Reveal it, add it to your hand to gain advantage that way. So you can then go into your later game, like hopefully seeing more cards and also having more options, and also making hopefully your base left as a threat by your opponent wanting to deal with R2 and C3PO, because they just gain you so much advantage. And also a nice thing about Restored Arc as well, if we're going back to that, he's also got Restore 1, so when he attacks, he heals 1 for your base. It's very nice there. And if you can boost him up after as well, you can turn him into a 3/4, which is pretty nice. That's like Millennium Falcon level of strength. And then we've got L3, so this is a nice one. This is like the the light side of the Force is the Crafty Smuggler, because it essentially comes up with a shield, and there is a way to kind of, is there for like an anti-capture mechanic. If any deck is playing capture, it does have some cards that capture stuff, because capture is more of a draft and seal with a kind of a mechanic. It isn't really used that much in terms of normal competitive play. But if it is, you've got this card as a way to kind of like rescue cards that captured. So a nice little thing there. And also, if you don't use it, don't try to rescue a card, which is most of the time, you'll then be able to gain a shield. So like Crafty Smuggler, and essentially, when it's played, you can gain a shield, because its effect is when played, you may rescue a capture card, and if you don't, you gain a shield token on this unit. So most of the time, you're going to play it and go, I'm going to gain a shield. And the nice thing about it over Crafty Smuggler is it's got the same kind of skills. Well, it's got the same kind of stats, 2 cost, 2 cost, same kind of effect to kind of gain a shield. But it's also got a smuggle, so you can always resource it and then smuggle it out later to have a unit. And it's one that can be boosted with REY as well, just like Crafty Smuggler could. So we got that, and if we ever get more droid support, like more interaction with droids, or like search for droids or something good with droids, and then get an effect, because essentially we're playing mostly droids, and like Chopper, C3PO, R2, and L3. Like, it's really nice, and it's kind of cool that REY goes well with the droids. It's just a shame that since we did get the sequel series like in this with like Kylo Ren, REY, Poe, and stuff like that, and Finn, it's a shame we didn't get BB-8 in the set, because that would have been a cool one to have, like mostly all the droids that you kind of see in the game as well, in the series as well, join as well. So yeah, it's a shame we didn't get BB-8. But those are our 2 costs. So now we go on to some other cards. We've got some 3 costs. We have Yoda and Fleet Lieutenant as some pretty nice cards to have. Like before with Alex's list, he was running Ezra, because Ezra's kind of a nice effect where it's good stats, a 3/4 for 3 cost, and then when it attacks, you can look at the top card of your deck, and if you've got the resources, you can play it. Otherwise, you can just keep it there or discard it. So it kind of goes in tandem again with C3PO, which quite nicely, or even be able to play cards from like out other than your hand from the top of your deck and stuff like that. But I did never find that I really want to use it. And it was also a Spectre for Chopper to kind of get that effect of having raid 1, so it'd be even stronger. But then you got to keep Ezra around. Normally, Ezra isn't something that people want to keep around, given that he's got a quite strong effect. So I've gone for Yoda instead of Ezra, because it kind of gives you the advantage of being able to draw cards game back, because when it is defeated, you can choose any number of players and they draw a card. So you can choose yourself, draw a card. It also gives you Restore 2, so a bit more healing as well by every time it's swing straw. And also it's another target for raid to kind of boost up, so it can go, it's a 2/4 originally, so 1 less power than Ezra but the same health. But with REY you can boost up, so it then becomes a 3/5, so it's a little bit, it's more in line with the 3 costs kind of new standard, like how most cards 3 costs are, like there are 3/5s nowadays. It's also another Force unit if you do play more Force stuff, and it's just more useful in that the Restore 2 and then the gaining a card back if it's defeated, plus being on a booster REY, it's quite nice as well. And then we've got Fleet Lieutenant. Now, there are a lot of Rebels in here, and like, well, not all the cards are Rebel. Fleet Lieutenant is quite nice to be able to swing with some Rebels, and also just get a boost in by giving being able to attack with any card, really. But then, if it's a Rebel unit, it gets +2 for the attack. And now, while your leader isn't a Rebel, nor is Kylo Turncoat, nor is Yoda, And nor is like L3. You're mostly going to be using this when you've got a rebel on the board, so you can swing for a little bit stronger. And it does make it so after boosting R2 up to a 3/6, it can then come down and take out a 5 cost as well. While saying it's got 5 health, which is pretty nice. So it gets a nice little boost, plus establishes something on your board, and then you 3 cost, a 3/3, which is pretty good stats for it. Then next we've got we also got the space unit of wing leader as well, just like Alex had, and this I found really nice because yeah, when you do then max out the boost on a unit like R2 with Raise Effect, be able to boost them up to a 3/6. You can't go any further because it doesn't have 2 or less power, but that's where wing leader can come in, boost them a little bit further, so it then goes up to a 5/7, no 5/8 with R2D2. So it gets an extra 2 experience going from a 3/6 to a 5/8. And then you can always give an experience to Ring Leader, making it a 3/2 as well, which is pretty nice. So that's a nice way to kind of boost these one drops that are even more powerful. And then you can start putting upgrades on R2 to make it even stronger. Like I think I had a C3PO at one point that was a 7/8, which is scary to deal with. And then there's also like you got things to heal them in this deck as well. So Wing Leader was a pretty nice one, and yeah, it's not like it's one of those cards that you need other things on board, like same with Fleet Lieutenant. This cards you need things on board to be able to boost. So it's kind of like we don't want to max them out because you don't want to play them if you've got no benefit, because otherwise you're trying to waste the card just play out something that's costing 3 but has very mediocre stats. So you want to have it to make use of its on play, and that's the reason why it's in there. Then we've also got our 4 drops as well, being Rose, and also we've got Obi-Wan as a 6 drop as well. So get spoiler, went a bit too far there. But we did originally announce this dev Kanan because once again that's a never expected. It kind of gimmick more use a chopper, but most of the time when I had Kanan, I didn't really want to play it. I didn't really well, if I did see it, I didn't really want to play it, and if I did, I don't really want to play 4 for that when I could use other things. I want to play more like smaller things and play the bigger, better big things there in the game. So with Rose, because Rose is a nice thing, pretty nice as well, because you can give things shields like L3. Like L3 can gain shields. You put shields in everything with effects later on in the game, and it's really nice where you can on attack defeat a shield token on a friendly unit, and if you do give 2 experience to a token unit. And the nice thing I've got with this is a spoiler alert as well for a combo play that we'll see in a bit is Jetpack. Now Jetpack is a very nice upgrade, one of my favorite upgrades from set 2. Because what essentially allows you to do is for 2, just put it onto a unit, give an extra 2 power, but gain a temporary shield. Basically, you gain a shield that gain a shield on the card, but it's then removed at the end of the turn. So after the turn ends, you lose the shield. So either you use up the shield to kind of, because most of the time you use Jetpack, you either use it so you can use it on that shield before it's defeated to kind of take out a unit, or you just have it to protect your lead card to make sure it isn't going to take damage at least once due to the shield. So either you're going to be putting Jetpack on a unit to gain a shield and then use it to clash into an opponent's card so you take no damage due to losing the shield instead, or they either defeated or take damage. Or you put it on your unit so that way hopefully it's not going to be taken out by damage that turn, so you can then swing freely and lose the shield at the end. Now the nice thing about Rose is that when she attacks, you can defeat a shield token on a unit and then give 2 experience to that unit. So if you've got Rose on board by the turn before, you can put Jetpack on a card, and then swing with Rose to then change that shield that Jetpack gave to being 2 experience. Essentially, Jetpack's then giving you an extra 4 power and 2 health due to having the upgrade of Jetpack itself giving you 2 power. And then the shield then being turned from a shield that's going to be removed anyway at the end of the turn into 2 experience that you're going to stay on that unit until it's defeated or until they're removed. So I feel that's a very nice thing. And also Rose is another one you can kind of boost with Rey being a 2/6. So even if they do take the shield off her, so she can't use the shield herself, Rey can then boost her up by making her then a 3/7, and either with a shield and then with her shield boosting her up to then a 5/9 if she managed to keep her shield and then use her effect on herself to kind of turn the shield into 2 experience. So I feel that's a very, very nice little thing in there, and I feel that could be more beneficial due to it's got more synergy with Rey, and also like as I said, I didn't really get much use of keeping a Spectre on board to boost Chopper really, so I felt that synergy seems nice, but then it doesn't come up that often from what I've tested. And then we've got some, we make a big jump, so we've got no 5 costs, and we also took out Tobias Beckett, because I found that you can smuggle him in, but then he seems like he's in there because he's a smuggle that still has the same like aspects depending if you smuggle him or not, so you don't have to worry about that. But then he wasn't that great because even then, like events, there's not many events. Like never often he was on board when I went to play an event. And he didn't play many events anyway. So with our next lot, we go from up to our Sentinels. We got some big Sentinels in here. So we got Obi-Wan and Freedom Mandalorian. So this is the exact same with Alex had, but then I did take out Obi-Wan for a Hotshot Blaster because I think I couldn't find my Obi-Wan. So I decided to just switch over to Hotshot Blaster. I think that'd be cool because you playing the cutting aspect, so you can always smuggle that, and that's kind of what you want to do with Hotshot Blaster. So I thought I'd switch that in just to give a little bit of like a surprise attack to kind of boost up a small unit and get an attack in, but also having something to replace the Obi-Wan. But I've kept the Obi-Wan in this one and with the Mandalorian because they're both pretty nice. Both Sentinels, 6 cost, different in stats in this. Just that Obi-Wan has 1 less power, but he's got a good benefit to have something else on board. And they're both essentially there to provide you with a Sentinel in the ground arena and then do some nice little things because Obi-Wan has the effect of when he's defeated and he's a Sentinel, so you have to go for him to get something else. Even that could be a base whenever a unit in the same arena, unless you have Saboteur. But then he gets to give 2 experience to a unit from their friendly unit, so even boosting things up even stronger. And if there's a Force unit you give the experience to, you draw a card. So you can get an extra bit of draw there. So you can give a nice 2 experience to REY, and then go ahead and then draw a card if you give the REY. So then you can play out Obi-Wan, then play out REY, swing with REY, give herself a boost from her effect, and then when Obi-Wan's defeated, give her 2 more experience and draw a card. So very beneficial for that. And the Mandalorian is this is the reason we play free Mandalorian over like more Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan is both of them kind of need a unit on board when they're played, because when they're played or defeated, because they are like there for a Sentinel, but also their effects require other things. But the Mandalorian has a better way of protecting your assets that you started building up in the beginning of the game to when you do deploy it, because the Mandalorian's got a nice effect of when it's played, you may heal all damage from a unit that costs 2 or less, which is going to be essentially most of the top row, all the way from Chopper up to L3. Heal them for all damage they've taken, which hopefully be a lot because they've got a lot of health thanks to being boosted up and experienced up from REY, and then give 2 shield tokens to them. So a really nice thing about that is, like, say if you've got an R2 that's got 2 experience on it, it's now a 3/6. If you put anything else on it, like say you wing leader to boost up even further, put like a jetpack or thing like that on, it's quite a big unit that you've put a lot of investment in. You kind of want to keep it around. If it's taking a bit of damage, it's going to be close to being defeated. So the Mandalorian comes down, shields it from being by being a Sentinel, and then heals everything off it and gives it 2 shield tokens. So now they have to go for the Mandalorian to get to R2. That's basically boost up the being like as strong as the Mandalorian, even stronger. It's also got 2 shield tokens, so if they do go for it, they don't have to get through 2 shields. Any damage is gonna be ignored, kind of for the first 2 attempts, and then it's healed all damage off, so it's then back at full health and not have to worry too much about damage. It's like a really good way to kind of protect your investments from the beginning with the Mandalorian. That's why we've got 3 copies of it, because even though it's unique, you still want to drop it down, and most of the time, once the Mandalorian is destroyed, you're going to deploy it again to kind of keep protecting them. That doesn't stop insta-killing effects, but it does protect you from help it with damage as well, especially when you put a lot of investment to make R2, like say a 7/8 at some point. That's a really good to protect that investment. Then we get to the more top-heavy cards. So we've got 3 copies of Luke, because it's just a great card, when played, fantastic one. Great for the top end, and also 2 Han Solo. Not as great as Luke, but still a very strong card, and very nice for helping clear things off board. And because they're both unique, so it's nice to have them both together, because they're, as I said, they're unique, so you can have multiple copies of them on board at the same time. That means you can then go Luke and then drop a Han after, and if one of them is destroyed, drop them again. And we only got 2 Han Solo because Luke is a lot better. That's why we play 3 copies of Luke and 2 copies of Han, because most of the time Luke is better in the situation, because with the stats, they both cost the same. They're both 7 costs. The different aspects, in like Luke being blue and Han being yellow. But then Luke is a little bit better on the stats, having only difference being 1 extra health, so 7 health instead of 6, but same power at 6/6. Han Solo has ambush, so it can come in and attack straight away, and also has an extra benefit of his effect with that while he's attacking, he deals combat damage before defender, so Han shoots first. Like, it's pretty nice that this effect's built into Han. So it means if he attacks and takes something out, then he won't take damage from it because he'll be defeated before it can do damage back. But then Luke has a nice effect where it's got Restore 3, so when it swings, it heals 3, so just like REY, you can heal quite a lot of damage through this deck. And also it's got a nice little effect of when played, you can give any unit an enemy unit minus free for the turn, so minus 3 power, minus 3 health. But then if a unit of yours was defeated this phase, you can change that to a 6/6 instead. So if you so it's going to be minus by 3/3, and they see anyway. But if something you've lost a unit this phase, you can minus something by 6/6 instead, potentially either outright killing something or making something huge down to very tiny stats, so you can take it out a lot easier. So way more beneficial because it's got the restore 3. The more beneficial effect that comes in instant use rather than like if Han can't take anything that's 7/7, like that's 7 health, because we have to have sacrifice something into it and then Han solo it. But they're both very good units and both you want to see in the top end of the game. And one of the other things I've changed about is, as we said, we no longer have the Tobias Beckett. So what I've done is switch out the Tobias Beckett with 2 copies of Chewbacca because I thought it wasn't enough late game stuff. I was finding the early stuff helpful, just get to the later game to deploy Rey and start doing stuff. But when it came to the late game, wanted to see my big drops like Luke and Han stuff, I find that I was coming short because there's only 3 copies of Luke, and sometimes you might have to resource one early game. Only 2 copies of Han, and if you don't see them when you get to the later stages of the game, you then have to resort to playing your little ones, which you need a bit more time and investment in. And the Mandalorian and Obi-Wan aren't always going to be the best help. They're not really there as your top end like finishers. They're there as your essentially transition ones. They come down to kind of protect Rey in the turn she's played, so like being a Sentinel, while also helping out with your whatever cards, while protecting your stuff and protecting your leader deploy and your early game units, and then your later games want to be like the Han Solo and Luke when they start coming down, being bosses. And Chewbacca, I feel, does that because he's a little bit more expensive at 8 cost, but then again, you hear for the top end, you get to those later stages where you are dropping him, and it serves as some great things. First, it is a 4/10, so he's got a lot of health, but not as much attack, but that gets converted into being stronger and stronger because the more damage he takes, he gets stronger for his grip, so every damage converts into power. So he takes 2 damage, that's an extra 2 power for his unit, and at 10 health, you can take a lot of damage to make him very powerful. And also, he's got a nice effect where, when played, you can defeat a unit that has 5 or less remaining HP. So you can start removing things like sacrificing your little guys to kind of chip away some health at some bigger things, and then use Chewbacca to just instantly KO them whilst damage just big, hairy beatstick on the board. So for that's helpful, like to put a few more later game cards that you can start playing out, because that way, if you have to resource some early, or that if you don't see them, you got more in your deck to kind of see. That's what I thought that was kind of lacking whilst testing the deck out. So that's all the units. So still quite a lot of units. Just trying to change the ratios out. So the ratios are kind of the same from Alex's list. Just we changed out not Ezra. Ezra Bridger for Yoda. We changed out Kanan Jarrus for Rose, and also we changed out Tobias for Chewbacca to kind of change that to some more units that kind of benefit more with Rey, like the Yoda and Rose that kind of synergize more with Rey using their effects to kind of boost them even further and give more help in Yoda being able to draw your card. Also having Restore, and in Rose being able to turn some shields, especially temporary ones on Jetpack, into more beneficial boosts, being a temporary shield into 2 permanent experiences. And then for our events, we've still got, for our upgrades first, we've got 3 jetpacks. We still have 3 jetpacks, such a great card. Being able to put that on a unit, and then especially with now the synergy with Rose, being able to turn that temporary shield into 2 experience is very, very nice. Like, very, very cool there. And you can put on Rose herself, so that way she gains extra shield, just so you can make sure she got a shield and swing and get boosted even more. And that's the nice thing about this with the jetpack and shield Rose, is that this becomes a 2/4 onto a unit. It's a 4/2 onto a unit. So 4 more power, 2 more health, which is fantastic. Especially put on a low card and then protect with the Mandalorian. Amazing. And there's also the nice benefit is that it's a smuggle card you can smuggle. So it's another one of those cards you could smuggle early and then use later in the game when you don't have things to play or just want to use your resources, but then want to play anything from hand. And I've also chucked in 2 hotshot blasters. It's 2 off aspect, but once again, because we have Cunning on our base, we can use this how the card is normally always played via smuggle, because it's just an upgrade that gives you 2 more power, and if it's played using smuggle, which the smuggle cost is then 3 resources, and the Cunning aspect, which we have, we can smuggle it out, we're not going to hardcast it, and then get the benefit of attacking with a unit. So you can basically allow you to get with the units, you can only boost them up so far with Rey. So like R2 becoming at maximal Rey's effect, a 3/6 is kind of off a little bit, but then having a hotshot blast on it means it won't gain more health, but it gain more power to then start taking out more things, be more a threat, and like R2 should be. So we got 2 because trying to keep this 50 card deck, don't want to really go over, and I felt like 2 is the maximum I could really put in without taking away too much from the deck. And then it leaves us with 4 events. So, first one we've got is Surprise Strike, being a very nice one. Once again, like how with Hotshot Blaster and stuff, you got your little units that you're boosting up, and they have a lot of health, but still have not the highest attack, but you can still they gain more attack, so they become like say like C4Rio, a 3/6, but then be able to turn into a 6/6 swinging is pretty nice to kind of finish things off. So like these little units that you kind of boosting up that look scary are now threatening. Like in one of the games, I managed to use a Surprise Strike with I say an R2 with a jetpack on to then take out a bow deploy, which was amazing. So nice things to add. Like this is one of those nice units that kind of give you like the name Surprise, a surprise to make your opponent when your opponent plays something, just take him out with a small unit as like a nice little surprise there. Not for them, but for you. Then we've got 3 copies of Waylay, a very nice one, because a lot of the times this is just going to set your opponent back. If they play a card that doesn't get like immediate benefit, or a card that's coming in that's just being annoying, you can kind of put it back, especially if they play out a big high cost unit that then essentially wants to just doesn't really do anything on play, but then the next turn it's going to get some benefit. You can put that straight back in, so they've wasted their entire turn playing out that one unit, and now it's back in hand, not something you'll play. Like a lot of cards when they've got boosting effects or boosting up cards, or have cards that want to kind of get an attack off. Things like Waylay, which is like yellow's kind of bread and butter, is going to be a horrible time to basically put it back in your hand. So we've got 3 copies of this because it's just very nice to put things back, and just one of yellow's best way to do it. But you do have blue, but then blue does have removal effect, but it's more restricted. Like it's just any non-leader card back to the hand, remove anything back to the hand. Not permanently gone, but best back in their hands. They have to play it out again. But then like with blue, you've got like more of a cost. Maybe this is quite a cheap one, and it's just more beneficial because it's so cheap. Then we got 2 copies of Takedown, and then 2 copies of Fellow Dragon, so removal in blue. And as I said, there are like kind of more restrictions. Like blue does have like removal that kind of actually takes out the card rather than put it back so they can use it again. But blue is more restrictive, and like say with Takedown, it could defeat any unit, but as long as only if it's got 5 or less remaining HP. Like Fellow Dragon can defeat any non-leader unit, but it's got to have 5 or more power. So you can have things like with Takedown that have 6. If they have 6 or more remaining HP, you can't touch it with Takedown. And then with Fellow Dragon, if they got 4 or less power, or they're one of those ones that have 4 power but a lot of health, and you want to take it out because it's still hurting you, you can't touch it with this, which is one of those shames. But then if a unit has like 4 power but 5 or less HP, you can take it with Takedown. But if something's got not 5 or less remaining HP, a lot of HP but also a lot of power, Fellow Dragon can take it out. So they can have their benefits each. And I think Alex was originally running 3 Takedown and 1 Fellow Dragon, but I feel like a 2-2 split is more beneficial for me. But that's the list. So as I said, you can see like the difference between this list. My changes to Alex's list, because essentially just taken Alex's list and just changed it to kind of things that I would prefer to have in it. And I will try this out again. But I say it's not my original build. It's just me just kind of building what Alex brought, and I kind of shown that Ray can kind of go with having yellow. Now I do have a side deck, so we'll go over that. Just this is the main deck. So let's have a look at what I've got for the side deck. Right, so I do have a little bit slightly different to Alex's side deck, because as you can see, he had 4 cards in his side deck, 4 different cards, and I have 5, so I have one slightly different card, but the most of it's going to be quite the same. So we have, first of all, 3 copies of Vigilance Protectors, just some more Sentinels for early to kind of help with the aggression and stuff like that. So like same with Alex, had those because they're just literally like small Sentinels you can play out, and also boost up with Ray, and they come in shielded as well. So it's a shielded Sentinel, you have to get at least 2 attacks through it to kind of kill it. So that makes sense of it. There wasn't much benefit of wasn't much else that could benefit it. I thought this is more like everything I wanted to put in, but I felt like Alex had it kind of spot on with like Vigilance Protectors being a nice shielded Sentinel to come in and protect your ground arena units. And then we got 2 Concord Dawn's Interceptors. Alex did have 3. I've kind of swapped this so I can put another card in, and I thought this is still very good. It's just a Sentinel for space, especially when you get units like decks like Sabine that come down and want to be aggressive with their like really cheap, very powerful space units early in the game, like Greasewatch and A-Wing and Red 3. You can put this down so that they now have 4 staff to go through this if they want to get through to your base. And then this, when it's attacked, it hits back harder because it gains an extra 2 power when defending, so it becomes a 3 power defending. And you can boost it with Ray, so turn it into, so you can boost up to essentially a R2 and C3PO up to a 3/6, and then when they're attacking, you then do a 5 damage back thanks to the boost it gets from that, which is very nice. So you can start hitting hard to your base. What they thought go for this, and this is hitting that back harder and harder. And then we've got 2 copies of Redemption. Very nice for the end game, like Alex said. It's like one of those ones for the end game you can kind of switch 2 back out for if you feel like you need a bit more healing in certain matchups. So you can come down, heal 8 damage among your base and units, and put that on itself. So basically taking all the damage, and then or even just not heal a little bit, but then have a Sentinel in space as well. Your opponents have to go through. So very nice there. 2 rock observer. Essentially, the first 4 cards like exactly like Alex's, but then I've just changed up. Take out 1 Concord Dawn Interceptors to have 1 other card in, and Rivals, which is great. You can either take out, depending what you want to use, you can either take out the 2 either the 2 Takedown or 2 Fellow Dragon, or 1 of each to make space for it. So I felt like it was a bit more beneficial to take out one any combination of those. So you can put this in and it depends on if you need this to defeat a unit, just instantly kill the units, or you need to kill a leader straight away. Didn't have this in, like, so I did put this in for cards like Boba, so that way I can just instantly kill it after they put an armor, because once you put an armor on it, it's very difficult to kill outside of just instantly killing it. So this is just handy in that kind of aspect, in that instance. Then the last 1 card we've got on the side, I put 1 Change of Fire, because it's just one of those things where just sometimes your opponent will have a big card, so you don't want to just go, I'll have that, I'll borrow that for the turn. So you can just start hitting harder, especially when you've got like these big units out, you're building up all these big, more powerful cheap 1-drops. You can then go ahead and just take your opponent's unit and go, I'll use it. Most of the time with like Change of Heart, you're taking a big unit and go, I'm going to use this against you to try and win the game. You either deal with it now, or that's it. And like, people forget that yellow. This is in yellow. And this is like still one of the best cards of side deck for yellow. Just be able to go, I'll take your card and use it against you. You either deal with that, or I'll keep doing. Like, it does take a lot of resources 6, but most of the time you take something big to kind of say, I'm going to finish the game or deal with it. And most of the time they're going to have to kill their own unit that you've taken control of, just so you don't get it back. Like, as long as you do it at the right time, it's very, very good. But that's it. So not much different from Alex side. I thought he hit the nail on the head there. I think that's the term. And I just switched out 1 Concord Dominant Substance because I wasn't going into space much, or went out space too much with it, to change it, adding in 1 Change of Heart for those kind of instances where you kind of can just take one of your opponent's units and use them against them, and just have a lot of fun, like taking your opponent's Crate Dragons. So that way, for the turn, you've got Crate Dragon on your side, so they can't do anything against it, while you then continue just attack. And if it's an active mode, because you take the initiative, you can take it and still attack with it. Well, if they play anything, you're going, okay, that's damage to your base, kind of thing there. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Remember, this isn't my inspiration. It's Alex's. So always props to him. I've just made a few changes to suit me after testing his list out at locals this last week. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you next one. Bye for now.